Zachrilege cast. Robert Stanley, and a surefire way to guarantee your cat leaves the desk is to yell real loud and have a gong sound.
Well, I enjoyed looking at his butthole.
Yeah, I mean, I'm representing here, Cat Nation. And we are doing a rare daytime show, so I will show you a beer. I will not drink a beer, sadly, because, daytime and all. Trois Pistoles. So I originally am connected to this beer because about 6 years ago, one of our last cats died. And on the day he died, we went out and just ate a bunch of really fatty, bad food. And then I had this beer, which was pretty good. So, it's like in honor of Chewy. And now we have our next generation of Soy and Skitty, who hopefully will not interrupt the show. Anyway, this is not a cat show. This is a serious discussion show. I mean, I know you do one of those. So how's it going?
You could name it Catrilege.
Catrilege. They probably do easier to spell than this version. But right to reason, how long has this show been going on
now? 4 years.
4 years.
4 years. It was supposed to become a big deal. Like when I started it, I wanted to, I just had this fantasy of being on some kind of video with the numbers going up on the side, and they're donations to some cause or whatever. And I'm all doing radio, all right, we're doing it today, pumping everybody up. And I don't know why I thought that was going to happen. But then it was after about 2 years in, I was like, so that never occurred. Why am I still doing this? And I thought, well, I really enjoy it. I like having these conversations. I like talking to people. So my whole way of doing the show kind of changed after that, where I stopped trying to be like a YouTube celebrity, and I just started just being myself and talking to people, so it's a lot more fun when it's a hobby than whenever you think of it like a job.
Yeah, the whole concept of, we're all niche of a niche in a way. Yeah. So it's to be, I know in the history of all the people I've interviewed, only a few are this is the day job. And it is, it becomes a job. It can be, it's fun to do a show and then forget about it or think about it occasionally. Yeah. And when it's a job, it's a totally different thing. And making sure it's fun. So how do you think your show, how has it kind of changed over the years?
A lot less cheesy radio voice. All right, today we're talking to a Christian and a Muslim. Whoa, that's crazy. Like trying to fake hyperbole and all that. I used to do videos. I stopped focusing on YouTube altogether. I still post to YouTube, but I really enjoy the audio. I love listening to old radio shows like Opie and Anthony, or something like that, where it's just the whole show is just a conversation, and it's fun and it's interesting, and that's kind of where I wanted the show to go. Not with that kind of, not like a comedy show, but just more or less just audio only, like a radio show. So I focus more on the podcast end of it rather than on trying to make videos. And plus, making videos takes so much time. You and I, we got day jobs.
I got shit to do. It's I have this 10-minute video that comes out every 2 months, and it takes me 7 years to produce each. It's video editing is tough. Audio editing, well, if I did much of it, I would think it was tough. But
not too bad. Yeah, it's not too bad. Sundays is my podcast day, pretty much. So throughout the week, I might be contacting somebody, hey Zach, what are you doing? Let's do something this weekend, But other than that, it's basically just Sunday.
How is the mix for you between just kind of conversations and then doing formal or semi-formal type debates on the show?
I don't like the formal stuff. I had an Oxford style debate recently.
Is that the evolution one?
Yeah, and nothing against the guys on it by any means. I thought they were great and everything. It was just boring to me, and if it's not just a regular two guys just talking about their beliefs and having some good stuff to back up why they believe what they believe, of course, but just politely discussing where they come from, like it's not fascinating to me. It's not like I don't click on those old, like Matt Dillahunty Atheist Experience. I guess not necessarily old. I think he still does that show, but I don't watch those. I really don't. I did when I was first an atheist because I was angry, and nothing against people that want to put that content out there. That's great, more power to them. But because there's other angry people. They need to see that. They need to see a little pushback, and I needed it at the time. It was helpful to see that you can not believe in what you grew up with and make that other person see the foolishness behind it, whenever you're debating them. But yeah, the stuff I listen to is more just regular conversations. I like those, like the Pangburn debates. I thought as far as debate goes, remember those? It was like real popular for a while. It was kind of right leaning, but it brought both sides of the ideas together on religion and politics. You remember that guy? Is some, I can't remember his first name. Something Pangburn.
Yeah, I thought. I feel like I heard about that. It seemed like it was connected with like the Mythicist Milwaukee people, and they made a major crazy right wing turn over the years. But that's the way it goes.
Are they still around?
I kind of quit paying attention, but they're still out there. Yeah, they're still.
My whole thing, like I didn't know about them before they had Sargon of Akkad on, and that famous Thomas Smith debate, which was, oh my God, it was so cringeworthy to watch. But I hadn't really followed them since then either, so I didn't even know they were going right wing. Aside from having Sargon there, but are they like pro-Trump or something? Like, is it that far? Or is it more like the?
Oh yeah, I think there was discussion about. I don't know. I only hear about like people reacting to them since I just stopped.
Right.
Because initially they were like Jesus mythicism, and they did interviews, and then they decided, well, let's make our conference more interesting by having Sargon on, and like the Sargon guy, like, let me check out his videos. I'm like, God, that's really dumb and juvenile and mean, and some people really like that, and that's a very like I can't imagine like maintaining that. Like that's who that person is, or being just forever. That like being interesting for a while, because like 5 years later it's like you're saying the same stuff. It's kind of like doing a podcast.
No growth.
You're like, yeah, well, you're not gonna. I don't know. Did you initially start like, oh, we're gonna talk about atheism, and then of course they eventually want to talk about other stuff like social stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff going on that you may not even talk about religion in 1 week. Did you feel like constrained at first, or are you like, no, you're kind of open?
Well, when I started, it was right at the whole Trump had just become president, or he was becoming president. It was like right around that time. And what was it, 2017? So yeah, he had already been elected. And so I was wanting to talk about political stuff right from the beginning for obvious reasons. But I got caught up in a lot of, like, I don't like the term woke because it's really not, it's not what it is, but I got caught up in a lot of that stuff right in the beginning, just because it was so easy to point at the Trump side and just be like, look how awful these people are, but I would say, like, at the time I thought, like, platforming people, kind of like how we were talking about, like, Sargon with the Milwaukee thing. I would have thought platforming people would have been bad, whereas now I've kind of changed my views on like the free speech thing, where I don't object to platforming horrible people. You know what I mean? And you could say at the same time, well, what would you have Hitler on your show? Yeah, but that's great views. But no, I mean, obviously there is a line, right? You don't want to be like an absolutist about anything. So for a free speech absolutist, there definitely is dangerous speech out there. But I don't know. I don't go down the whole platforming road. I kind of got off the topic from what you were asking, but that's one thing that would change, that has changed, I guess.
Well, it did. You mentioned kind of debates. Like, I think I listened to 3 different like kinds of debates in episodes you've done fairly recently, like the evolution one where you're just like the moderator, so you're not that
those aren't
involved.
fun for me.
Well, I was like, I wondered, that was the one where you were not really talking that much. And then it was your like most recent episode as of this recording when you talked to a pastor about the problem of evil. And in a way I was like, man, that's just, people don't do that anymore. They don't have we moved on from that, but there's still people who are like, God's great because God exists. And that was interesting because you were doing the debating. And then there was the systemic racism one with Stephen Hill and David Silverman, which it was mostly them talking, but you were in there. You were kind of steering the ship as much as you could with those 2 personalities.
Actually, got some pushback on that.
I was wondering with debates, because like you said, the formal debates get a little boring after a while, though does God exist kind of debates kind of get boring after a while. But, what's the percentage of religious people like in power right now? And maybe, what do they believe and why? And who's given them their talking points is critical. My cat's giving me some talking points right now in the hall, which is awesome. But how do you, I guess, do a good debate? Like did you say like, I want to do a debate about systemic racism, and then you find the people, or were you like, who would be interesting to talk? Stephen Hill and David Silverman. Like, I know they're on the opposite sides. Like, you knew them. They've been involved in the community. I don't even know what community David Silverman's in anymore. I know he does this Atheists for Liberty, which sounds a lot like very right-wing talking points version of our community. Yeah. And it's interesting that, when Silverman was doing all his talks about being a firebrand atheist, he wasn't talking about African-American communities being lesser like he did at the end of the debate. That was wild. I don't know. Is there a certain point when you're getting like hearing stuff like that and you're like, oh my God, we like, why did I have him on the show? Or are you like, yes, people need to hear this perspective, because I don't know if it's his perspective or but it is a perspective a lot of people share.
Right. That one I got negative pushback on, because they said Steve Hill came off as the angry black man, the stereotype of a black guy. And
that's a tough one, because it's almost like he was almost debating like his existence. So like, why wouldn't he be mad? I know you were even like kind of pushing back on that episode, but it'd be like having someone who thinks all trans people are liars, and then having a trans person like debate that. Yeah. It'd be hard. Either you're going to be really mad about it and yell at them, or you're going to be like super professional and people are going to be like, why didn't they react to that? I don't know. It's tough.
You can't win. But yeah, with anything emotionally heated like that, for good reason, doesn't matter how you respond. It's people are going to have a problem with it. As far as the Silverman one, that one in particular, like having him on, I had him on before his whole Me Too thing, and he actually said that we should believe all women, word for word. Oh, absolutely, we should believe all women. And then he went on Armin Navabi's Atheist Republic broadcast, and Armin Navabi played that clip from that episode and said, you said believe all women, you don't say that now, right? And he goes, no, I can't. I've changed my mind about that. And I hadn't had him on since. And then when the systemic racism, it was a real hot topic at that time, right after BLM and all that. And people just saying, well, no, that if you're calling racism a systemic issue, then that means that I'm participating in it, and I don't like that. I think that's why a lot of people took offense to it, because they're like, come on, America's not racist, cops aren't racist, and they'll say, it's the category error. Like, I have a brother that's a cop, he's not racist, so cops aren't racist. It's like, well, that's not what we mean by systemic racism. So I mean, it was a big debate at the time, and I thought, Oh, well, David Silverman's talking about this a lot. I saw him on Dogma Debate. I saw him on a couple other places. I think I'd like to have him on, and I'd like to have a black guy debate him. And Steve's always available. He loves doing that stuff, and I'm glad he does. But so that lined up pretty well based on the topic, but not necessarily on the guests. But I did question having Silverman on, simply because of the Me Too stuff, and then I thought two things. One, and it's always been in the back of my head. I don't know what he did. You know what I mean? I don't believe in that trope. That's another one that I've left. I've just left, Zach. I really have. I used to believe all women, and I don't hold to that anymore myself. That doesn't mean I've gone to the right wing level of that Silverman has, obviously, but I look back at that and think, well, that's not what we are as skeptics. That's not reasonable. It's probably more likely that it's true than it's not. I think that's a fair way to look at an accusation of sexual assault or rape or something. It's more often true. But this take that half of humanity deserves my trust based on their gender. You know what I mean? Like that idea, I've lost that. And not to, well, let's not trust them because they're women. Obviously not. That's not what I'm saying. But there was that. And then the other side of, I've had, it's a debate show. I've had Nazis on, you know what I mean? Or I got a white supremacist coming on. He names himself Gordon Call, which is a guy, I think it was in the 80s that got into a standoff. He was like some kind of posse comitatus. I'm not sure how to say it. Posse comitatus. Anyway, some dumb white nationalist organization, But I was thinking, like, I have a lot of bad people on my show, and I think it might be different if I had Silverman on and we just talked about, oh, all these bitches were reporting you. Like that would be a, like, oh, fuck them. You're a really cool guy. Doing that without knowing he was innocent of what he was charged of, I think that would be wrong. But having him on in a debate format, especially when he's been talking a lot of shit about that on social media, I didn't feel like that was bad. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that it's somewhat dangerous to platform someone that has that kind of background, that kind of record, and post the things he does online?
Oh, it's almost like you have to treat it on a case-by-case basis. I just think that the way he talked when he was the president of American Atheists and the way he's talking now,
totally different.
Makes me think that he's just a person who wants to be famous and he wants to be worshipped almost. He wants to be treated almost like a demigod, and he just thought, hey, I go to conferences and I get to have women, and he gets to tell them that, he was in an open relationship when he wasn't. Like, he clearly lied about his relationship. Like, what happened with individual women, sure, questionable, but the stories were kind of gross, and the way that he acted, it's like, do I want someone like this representing me and representing what I believe? And that's the definite no. And he's just being super, he isn't like, yeah, I don't know what, something happened with a woman, that's okay. He was just like, they're lying and they're terrible, and and then going right-wing talking points 101, and then going on all the atheist shows where they're kissing his butt. It's like,
right.
Do you guys, obviously you don't seem to care much about women if you're going to be defending him. And it is, you could say that, yeah, people are lying, but you could tell that the problem is, like, on the atheist sphere, he was like one of the highest level people, and now being whatever he is, a right-wing reactionary, he's like third string, he's not going to be on the starting lineup. He's not going to be Ben Shapiro. And I think he's realizing that, and I think he's angry about it. And now he's, maybe he's back in his angry atheist phase. But he's attacking, he's always punching down, like he's just super about that. He's like, oh, people who are, he was at that George Floyd, guy's just a criminal, so it doesn't matter. Like that
I didn't get that argument.
There's not a lot of humanism coming out of this guy's pores. So just because of that, I wouldn't really want to talk to him, because he seems like he's being mean because he's thinking that's going to get whatever audience he's trying to reach now to like love him again. And yeah, it was funny. Like you mentioned, I have one person in the chat, native atheist, who actually I haven't had in the chat before. So, welcome on. He was like, dogma debate's still around. I'm like, yeah, apparently.
Yeah, it's called
still on. It's
David
like,
C. Smalley now.
I just quit because I used to like donate. He was like the one show I donated to, and I really like looked forward to listening to it. And then I realized that I kind of liked his co-host more, and then he was kind of drifting a little right as well, and he just kind of disappeared off the radar.
Yeah,
I mean, so there's some shows where
He's
it's just
still out
like
there.
I don't hate the show; it's just like I stop listening to it. That happens a lot.
You know what David's was it his second accusation? It was the one he touched my sacrum, and it was the lady that was with Wolf Blitzer and that old news clip.
Was that Rebecca Vitzman?
Vitzman, yeah. And he says, well, you must thank God that you're alive. And she said, I'm an atheist. It's that same chick.
That was strange. Yeah, it was like at a conference, and I don't know if
it was a party,
slipped or something, and he just touched her, and she was like really mad about it.
So the audio she released about that was with her talking with a friend, and the friend came out. I want to say it was this year. The friend came out and said, and went on Silverman's YouTube channel and said, I knew it was wrong the whole time. I was lying. I knew she was full of it, and I just did it to be supportive, but I knew it wasn't true. And so that one I'm thinking is probably bullshit. I mean, you never know,
Get to be like a jury, and then
right.
It does make you. It's like you did that the evolution debate, and the Christian was asking the pro-evolution, pro-reality guy, like, do you know how life started to exist? And he said, I don't know. It does sometimes feel like it's not okay to say, like, I don't know. And when it comes to like things that really do affect people's lives, like people get accused, and that could affect their livelihood. Although in the case of David Silverman, he was like, oh, I'm selling insurance. I'm like, you can make a fine living selling insurance. Most podcasters don't. This is not a living. This is something you do in your free time.
Right.
So he was not owed a livelihood just because people liked him. We've overdone the Silverman stuff. Have you had like, based on, people kind of think that, you have on controversial guests and talk about controversial topics. Have you had ones or had guests on where the reaction has been, you're like, oh God, I probably shouldn't have done that. Or you've been like, oh, people were mad.
Not so much. Just because
that's you're getting an interaction out of it. Getting people to think, maybe.
I'm not a big enough deal to get enough negative reaction for anything I do. You know what I mean? But the Silverman one, a little bit. There was one I did, and I actually felt bad during the conversation. It dawned on me, this person is not mentally stable. And what am I doing at this moment? And I still went through, edited it, and posted it. So it's not like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. I knew what I was doing. And I got a little pushback on that. But it was a guy that believed he had been visited by aliens. And I had Skeptic Brett. Remember Skeptic Brett? Have you talked to him in a while?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
He used to do Atheists on High. I think he's firing that back up here pretty soon. But yeah, it was the two of us. It was one of those where like I'm the moderator, but I kind of jump in here and there. And so it was supposed to be, the Skeptic Brett versus the alien abductee, allegedly kind of person. And like halfway through, if you hear it, you can you can hear like Brett's like going at him, you know. Well, how do you know? I mean, it could be what's the one that where you're sleeping but you can't get up, but then you become awake, but you think there's like a demon holding you down.
Paralysis.
Yeah. He was the guy was clearly explaining sleep paralysis, and Brett was, you know, doing the skeptical thing of like, oh, well, don't you think that's what it could be? It's you know, percentages of sleep paralysis or blah blah blah, you know, that whole routine. And like, and I was being Mr. Moderator guy, and everything was just going through like a regular episode. And right about halfway, you can hear it in both me and Brett's voice of us going, ooh, this sounds bad. Like, this guy's not okay. And, you know, like it's no longer I'm going to prove you wrong. It's more like we both went to are you on medication? Are you seeking help? We would recommend you do it. When was the last time you talked to somebody? Do you have somebody to talk to? You know, that kind of thing. And that one, I think that's wrong. I think that was wrong to continue with that episode, or at least to post it. I don't know. In the conversation, I think it was wrong to keep talking, but it might have been wrong to post that. I don't know. But that one I did get a little pushback on, because people are like, hey, that's a crazy person. What are you doing? So
what made you decide it's time to talk about the problem of evil?
Oh, I still do all of them. All the old atheist stuff. I do those, I don't know, 60%, 70%. That's atheist stuff. So I think before that was that dude that just turned Muslim, the empathetic atheist, Justin Downing.
What does he just call it? He does the EA, because that whole thing was like going through the like Twitter, YouTube sphere, because it was announced. I was going to have like a Neil, the 604 atheist, on my show, and he was interviewed by this guy, and I'm like, I think this guy is become a Muslim, and he's like, oh no, and it was around April. April 1st, and everybody was like, if he's faking it, he's doing a really good job, because the dude is like speaking language. He's on the show with Muslim people. He's got the beard going on.
It's real. Yeah.
It is not a joke. So I know he's been on a few shows. What was it like chatting with him?
Super nice guy. Online, he comes off like a total dick. Like really, but we even talked about that like offline, and like he knows that he comes off that way. He doesn't intend to, but just like one-on-one, super nice guy. He didn't come off like a dick to me like before we talked, but he did seem like kind of sensitive. Like I posted something on Facebook about I'm going to be talking to Justin Downing soon. Do you think he's legit? I think he's faking it, and that kind of pissed him off. He's like, why are you calling me a liar? You know, what's the deal? I thought like, man, this is not going to be a good interview, but it was totally fun interview. Very, very hard to hit him with anything philosophical that he hasn't heard and doesn't already have an answer to. And I'm thinking that's probably, you know, to be somebody that was a Christian, has the ability to change their belief, to stop believing, to become an atheist, and then to have the honesty to abandon atheism and go to Islam. I mean, even if we would say, excuse me, even if we'd say that's stupid, you know, like, and I even pointed out to him, like, you picked the worst religion, bro. Like, come on, it's Muslims. But it's still a level of honesty that I think that you could say, and maybe just intellectual honesty, to say I will abandon something if I don't think it's real, if I don't think it's true. That I can respect. But he started to defend the pedophile shit for a second.
Yeah, the bit with it was interesting, because it feels like, you feel like he's in the love bomb stage, where like the people in that, I can't remember whatever the channel was, where they were doing the philosophical, they clearly got him on the philosophical thing, and somehow he went from there's a necessary being to it had to be the Islamic God.
I don't know.
I still that connection, I never quite made it. But yeah, he's it's weird. He's like, he did say, like, when talking to you, I thought the honesty was great, that he was like, you know, I'm still open to having my mind changed, but he clearly was like all in. And he was saying like the party line, like, you know, Silverman saying the right wing party line. He was saying like the standards were different back then. It's like, so if you have this eternal God who came up with this perfect, great, amazing book, but he married someone and had sex with them when they were 9, that should in theory be wrong forever, or it should be right forever. How did it change? And how do you judge this human being who, just like, well, I guess unlike Jesus, we're pretty sure he existed, but he was illiterate during his lifetime, and all the stuff he talked about wasn't written down for I don't know how long. So yeah, you get from this like weird philosophical games that they play to saying, oh, this is definitely true. It was fascinating because it hasn't happened. Like, you've seen people who have gone like from, there was one, like a former pastor, and she was like a really big deal in the atheist. And then she went back, I think just because it wasn't making a living on our end.
I don't remember that one.
I'm trying to remember who that was. I feel like there've been some people who flip-flopped. Like, if you went back to religion, maybe you'd go back to your own, like, Baptist or
was that atheist for a year or something like that? Was that the one?
No, I can't.
I think the guy ended up going back.
It was like that
was a guy.
Came back, and then there were like these issues of financial impropriety, and then she's just like, I'm Christian again. So it was like, oh, okay. We've had some of them, but yeah, the whole going Islam, and at the same time, like, there isn't a ton of atheist content that looks into, and it's weird. Like, when you look into Islam, it's different than Christianity. It seems like you go really quickly from like, wow, this religion seems mean and terrible, much like Christianity, to like the people who are practicing it are mean and terrible. That's a lot of that's what gets you kind of heading in the right wing direction. But yeah, I'm glad you had him on. I don't know, like, you were asking about like gay rights, and it seemed like he was doing the whole Christian kind of argument of like, sure, you can be gay, you just can't have sex with each other. And that's it. Because he was like,
and that one
bad.
he just said, I wouldn't I wouldn't go out and protest with for gay rights, but I'm okay with them being gay, which, I'm kind of like, well, whatever, I'll take it. But the sodomy one was weird because he's like, I don't know why it's bad, but I know it's bad. All right. Is it bad to fuck your wife in the ass? Like, that's always my response to people that are like, gay is wrong because of the butt. It's like, when was your butt bad? Like, is your butt gay?
Your butt.
Like, if you play with your own butt, is that a little gay? Like, what? It's your butt. Like, it's part of your body. How's part of your body gay?
It's like 25% gay. That's what it is. Yeah.
That's a little. The toilet
but
paper.
It's not.
That's like 2% gay.
That's the weird, like, God is perfect, and yet everything we do is bad according to God.
Yeah,
God made us, so everything's good.
Silly.
Plus, there was sin is forgiven, so you should do more sin because you got a jail free card. Come on.
Yeah, you would think. The pedophile thing, though, is I say to him, can we at least accept that a child cannot give consent? And he goes off on this whole thing of, well, we're judging them because it was a different time and a different culture. And I was like, whoa, like, this is crazy. Obviously referencing Muhammad and what was her name? Like Aisha or something.
Yeah.
Aisha, I can't remember her name, but apparently she's like 9 or maybe 11. And then they'll argue, no, she was 15, so it's okay. Like, are you crazy? My daughter's 16. I can't imagine her being able to give consent. Like, it's absolutely offensive and immoral. And he did admit, though, that it was wrong. I thought that was at least progress, that he just said, what Muhammad did was wrong. Okay. I can see there's a different culture, it's a different time period. You can make the same argument about slavery. You could say, well, they didn't really understand that they were treating fellow people that deserved equality badly. They thought they were treating something closer to an animal badly or something like that. I can buy that. Was it wrong? You got to be able to say yes. You know, if you got to be able to say yes. It was wrong. It might not be as bad as if they did it today because they grew up in a society where they know slavery is wrong. But at the time, you know, they didn't know that. And I get that. That's how we have moral progress, as we learn as we go. So the people from the past are always going to be bad. You know, I don't think that means that we should topple over all their statues per se, but you still have to be able to say it's wrong. And he could go that far. So I thought that was good, at least.
Yeah, it's
might be setting the bar low.
It's a fine line. You know, you kind of want to go, well, I would ask someone else this kind of question, but you do want to be like, well, this guy is, I don't know what he is, 6 months into it.
Mm-hmm.
However long. I feel like I saw an episode of him talking to these guys, and it was like in January. So it seems like it's still a relatively new thing. Like, you're not going to be an expert on it right away, but at the same time, you're going to be someone we're going to be able to talk to. Like, I know Aaron Ra's doing this thing where he's like reading the Quran. He's having experts on who are like ex-Muslims, and then he's having like some current Muslims to debate. So at least in that case, yeah, you're able to kind of discuss it.
Yeah.
But it does seem like, just based on the people who have read all the holy books, I'm just like, I just can't. I don't know. It seems like it's going to be rough. It's
so silly. It's such a silly religion. I swear to God. Hey, you were asking me how long I've been doing. How long have you been doing this? You've been doing it longer than I have.
Yeah, I know. I'm one of the old. How am I still here? I don't know, about 6 years, I guess.
6 years.
It was like the 2015, heading into 2015 is when I did the first episode. And unfortunately, because it's a one-man show, I don't always do one every week. So you can't say, hey, let's just divide the number of episodes by, because I don't do one every week. Try to, but it doesn't always work out that way. I don't know. It's just the way the way it goes.
And you got some new glasses?
Yeah,
cool.
Tis true.
Look like a cool guy.
I used to not wear them, and I probably shouldn't with the whole, I'm getting the reflection. I don't know. I saw one guy who does a show where he doesn't actually like look at the camera. And I thought maybe I should do that, because then I can like look at notes and not look like I'm not looking at you. But I feel like you have to like, you have to look at each other when you do an interview.
Do you remember, it was Penn and Teller, but what's Penn's name? Penn Juliet.
Something.
Is it Penn Gillette? Penn Gillette.
Yeah.
Penn Gillette. Thank you. My brain is
Juliet. Yeah, that. Close.
Julie. Okay, but he tried to make his show for a little while where there was a camera in front of him, and he would talk with his phone like this, and he would be like blah 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 blah, and then once in a while go, and that's what I'm talking about, baby. But then the camera would switch to him talking to his phone, and the whole time he's holding his phone like trying to be hip and cool. Do you remember that? Did you ever see that?
No,
it was funny, but not funny the way he intended it. It was funny like, the fuck are you doing, man? You're like 60. Try to tap into the social media craze.
I'm just lucky a former guest like sent me a webcam, so I'm not using the camera on my Mac anymore. So it's a better camera. I have a microphone.
Yeah, it's very clear.
I got this microphone, but it's been the same. I redid my office, but I have not really organized it. Like, I had a bunch of like the lanyards from conferences I'd gone to, but I haven't figured out how to like design them in a way that like fits. If you really want to be like a pretentious jackass show host, you have to have like the name of your show like in neon and put it behind you.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the Joe Rogan does that. Steven Crowder. I'm trying to remember. There's a couple more. Steven Crowder has like 2 different walls with different like. Dude has it. I need to feel like I need to wear like
that's a big thing.
Actually, I have because he wears like a gun holster while he's doing his YouTube show.
I have not seen this. This is Crowder,
a right-wing guy. Yeah. Well, I remember listening to him like many years ago, and it's like he has not changed at all, but he is so popular. But I had a friend who gave me like a belt, and you can put like a bunch of beers in the belt. Like, and that would be my holster.
You could
Like
do
I'd
that,
carry, but the gun, yeah, okay. I'm dressing up like a character from like Laura Croft, but male. I don't know. It's strange. Like some people have certain, like I had there's an email company called MailChimp, and they had these like chimp kind of hats, and I was wear them for interviews, and I wore them at conferences, like because we're made from monkeys and all that. But that's just it's very hot in the summer. It just doesn't work. So yeah, having you want to have a look and have like a background and all that stuff. I was thinking of getting one of those dot matrix printers and like printing my show name and putting it in the background, like look at me, it's big time.
With the paper with like the holes on the sides.
Yeah.
Like really
Exactly.
cheesy, like where you can see the Scotch tape.
I feel like that's where I need to go.
That actually would be cool though.
A new paint job. Someone
funny.
has to have one of those. But how does it feel? I mean, you're in Houston, right? Is that still there? Texas
Temple
area?
Yeah.
Did you go
Texas.
through that whole crazy winter storm that happened?
Yeah, it was crazy. We didn't lose power and we didn't lose water, so we were really fortunate. Other houses in the neighborhood lost water, and I had a lot of coworkers lose power. But I've got a fireplace, fortunately, so we just burnt this shit out of wood for a long time. Just hung out at the house. What I really found amazing is people from the north are going to laugh at me. Where are you at? Weren't you like Tennessee?
Atlanta, so
you're in Georgia.
Be destroyed by the same weather as you would. Yeah,
we had that 1 inch.
We had that time we had an inch of snow and we got shut down for like 4 days. So yeah,
I was about to say I grew up in Georgia. So that's so cool. I don't know. I was in Decula for about 4 years, and then Warner Robins near Macon. You know Macon, I'm sure. In that area for about 4 years. That was a major part of my childhood there. So I was like Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina. Like I've lived in the South most of my whole life, short amount of time in Michigan. But I say all that to say I had not been around a whole lot of snow. It snows here in Texas once every like 4 years. It's like a fucking leap year comes around, like it's a rare thing. And it was really weird to just walk out on my front yard and just the silence. It was so silent. I literally went, holy shit. And then I heard, holy shit, like off the, houses around me, because it was really beautiful. But at the same time, could have been avoided. So, and the Republicans want to blame it all on windmills, but windmills is only 25%. It wasn't
is
the
Ted
windmills.
Cruz your senator? Is that?
Yeah.
You must have felt like, wow, that leadership is just strong. Going to Cancun,
yeah.
Nice.
They don't care. Texans don't give a shit. The guy literally, he, as you know, he left and went to Cancun during the whole thing. But he literally went on CPAC like a week later and was being like Mr. Funny Guy, now that he's got the beard and whatever. And he's all like, oh man, nice weather here. Not as nice as Cancun though. Am I right? No, everybody laughs. Like he's fucking making fun of it. Like they're so stuck in that owning the libs. We don't give a shit. We're just supporting our team thing post Trump.
They discovered that the Trump method works really well. Yeah, you don't actually have to have any policies. You can pretend that everything the left does is terrible and everything the right does can be excused. And yeah, it wasn't white nationalists at the Capitol, like David Silverman said.
Right.
Oh, sure. Yeah, they were all normal people.
Antifa. It was Antifa at the Capitol, framing the good Trump supporters. But I will say this though, I heard the argument. Well, the cops were being racist because they didn't let Black Lives Matters protesters even near the Capitol, that same year. But they would let these white people walk right in. And I think that's it's a valid point in the sense of clearly our law enforcement does see color. But the other side of it is Trump supporters had not been violent thus far. They really hadn't. I mean, you get a couple wacky pipe bomb dudes here and there,
I mean,
sending
like
bombs
Unite
to
the Right,
Hillary.
where the guy ran somebody over with the car. I mean, there's all these examples of like right-wing violence
but not
during the Trump thing, and he would never go after them. And then like, oh, the BLM, they burned down a Target. Oh no.
Yeah.
Don't attack our Target.
But
or what is it, a Starbucks? They broke windows.
I'm with you 100%. I'm with you 100%. But I think you're being a little biased on it. But hear me out. Sure. Also, I do a debate show, so I can't help doing this. It's all I know. It's all I know. Anyway, I can't have regular conversations.
Just talk over me when I'm trying during my time. This is my 2 minutes, man. What are you doing talking to me during? Would you let me talk? That was great. That whole like Steve Hill would interrupt. The more polite guy was the racist, but that's great. But carry on.
That was not planned. But them as a group were not going around burning down buildings, destroying property, and killing people. Not as a group.
It seems like it's always right-wing violence. Like there was that one like Antifa guy who killed somebody, and then like Trump had the federal government come in and like murder the dude, and he like joked about it. It was like they went to arrest him and then they just shot him in the head. That was the guy in like Portland. It's like one example, and the right-wing people were like, yes, finally we have a left-winger who actually killed somebody, and then he got offed by the government.
Let me like, present it this way. Okay, so
I mean, there were like people trying to run Biden's like van off the road.
See,
I mean, that's violence, is that not?
It's hilarious. Fuck them. See, this is
not that
where
we like Biden. I mean, you voted for I don't know, Mr. Rogers. I forget. You know, someone who's going to clearly have a big chance of winning. You know.
This is where I'm.
Is there a Green Party around anymore? Sorry.
Yeah. Good luck. This is where I think I'm different from my fellow liberals on is like sometimes I think you guys see that stuff in the news and it's presented in a hyperbolic way. And
that's true.
Although, but like
it always seems to have a different kind of bias. I don't know. I think there's definitely when people talk about like woke stuff, it's like it's not hard to find examples of people on the left who are overreacting to things.
That's true.
It just seems like the people who overreact on the right are tending to be violent. Like you were saying, the right hasn't been violent, and I was just hearing all these examples off the top of my head.
No.
And you were like, they don't count?
I'm talking about the MAGA crowds themselves.
I mean, the MAGA, like the people at the rallies. I don't know. They were always just like
punching people.
I don't know if there was
there was some punching.
Little party.
There was some punching. There wasn't like
each other, which is okay.
There wasn't like every major city had riots. We have to own that.
Why are the riots happening? Because the police are awesome, and we should always kiss their butts, even if they like murder people, and there's never any consequences for that.
No,
it seems like at this point there are always consequences when someone on the left commits a crime, which should happen. Like people are like Al Franken, like he should have been kicked out. Joe Biden, the accusations against him, not sure if he should have become president. But then the guy was Mo Brooks from Alabama who was like helped the insurrectionists. He was mad about how the subpoena was delivered to his wife. It's like, dude, there have to be consequences for your actions. Like, you can say that the people in the Capitol, they just got out of hand. It's like, yeah, but breaking and entering's a crime, so they should probably have some kind of consequences. So yeah, there should be consequences. Are people overreacting? I don't know. I was hearing about people protesting in Atlanta, and then the cops were just like tear gas. Like, why are cops just tear gassing people that are protesting?
Right.
For the most part, not being. I mean, sure, there are people being violent, and you can say it's bad, It was that there was a guy running for governor who's like become the super right wing, and he was in an interview and he was like, "Well, Joe Biden hasn't said that Antifa and BLM are terrorists." And the person asking questions was like, "Well, he did say he was against the violence," and he's like, "Well, he has to say they're terrorists." And it's like, you have to say that these groups, and then you make them into this other. Like Antifa is a very, very nebulous thing. There are actually people who are Antifa, but it's not like a group that you can like point fingers at. I don't know.
Some would argue that you and I
are Antifa time,
depending on how you define it.
Antifa, yeah. I'm what is it, a lieutenant colonel,
right.
57th whatever infantry. But then like the people who attack anti-racism and people who attack Antifa, does that just mean you're racist, or does that mean you're, because if you're supporting the status quo, which is what most people try to do, it's like the status quo is usually racist, and usually maybe it's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still pretty bad. And we're like saying that's what we want for a lot of people politically, and it's not great. But you can't say your side is always our side is always right and against. You have to be able to accept criticism, and I think you can be really quick to like talk over, which I've been doing for the last 5 minutes, and I apologize. I'm supposed to let you talk. This is what happens when during a show. I talk too much.
I think I interrupted you a couple times, but my only point was that we have to own it. So I think whenever we do criticize the Capitol thing, we have to recognize that we just came through a whole year of our team fucking a lot of shit up, and I could care less if a JCPenney's burns. Good, fuck them, And I totally get that. Yeah, with the systemic racism that's been going on and the police corruption that's been going on, and that it disproportionately affects people of color. Absolutely. So there's shit's gonna get crazy. I support that, but we got on like 25 people died. Like major cities were burning.
That's interesting. Like I need to look in, because I that was a number I heard earlier today. Were those people killed by protesters? Were they killed by cops? Were they killed how did they die? Like
it's like a mixture.
Because every unnecessary death is a bad thing.
Some of them.
It's like I know it's so easy to other. And I think that's just happening a lot, but it's hard to not when you hear just such horrible things being like that is a Trump thing. Like people are feeling more free to say what they feel, and more like, oh, cool. We can say we're racist. We can say that a certain community of people are dumber, and skull shapes and all those fun arguments that seem to have come from the 19th century, and we haven't gotten rid of them yet. Woohoo! I mean, that's one of the things that came from evolution, was the Germany deciding to kill all people of certain diseases. So congrats, eugenicist type stuff.
For sure.
Oh, I got a subscription. Yay. Yeah, I don't know. Native Atheist who's in the chat. I have not heard of you before, but thank you for being on and chatting. So we're getting close to the end. Does Right to Reason have an official YouTube channel? Do you just basically put your podcast on, kind of like what I do?
Yeah, it's just called The Right to Reason, the channel name. And then the kind of hub that has everything, whether it's the RSS feed for the podcast or YouTube or Patreon or ways to support or blogs or what have you, is just therighttoreason.com. Okay.
And before we get to the end, is there anything else you wanted to cover? And what are some maybe upcoming guests you're gonna have on your show?
Yeah, we got a white supremacist. We've got a debate on critical race theory, where we're going to have.
We'll finally figure that thing out.
Well, I don't think it's here's my take. I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's like the blue, black, or gold black dress thing that was real popular. You know, like it's just a popular thing on the internet right now, and it's because of all these right wing talking heads like your best friend Crowder. But the
We're close.
Yeah, go way back. I don't think it's a big deal. I'm currently I just got my political science bachelor's. I'm working on my criminal justice master's. I can tell you thus far, nobody's talking about it. You know, like it would have come up by now.
It's weird because it's
not in academics. Is my point.
In states, but it's not actually something that's
right
in the states yet. It's one of those like
it's not
Republican
real
talking things. It's just it's a cheap win, basically.
It's something to attack when they're not attacking, you know, the overgrowth of Marxism, like
trans
Marxism. People. Yeah. Somehow Black Lives Matter was Marxist and trans people are Marxist, and it's just a new thing, and they're all worked up. But anyway, I thought I'd do an episode on it since it's in the venue of discussion. So we've got a PhD on African American studies coming on, and then we've got Javier from the Javier show, Ben Fama from the Ben Fama show, Brent Lee from Unapologetics. I'm going to leave somebody out. And Jason Hannerfeld is a really cool musician dude. They're all just going to argue with each other after that. So we'll still get the debate time in. But I told him, like, we can't do this unless we actually, because we're all just a bunch of animals that are going to yell over each other. We have to actually have a professional explain what it is for at least 10 minutes before we embarrass ourselves. So that's in the future.
Seems wrong to actually like explain what something is. I don't seem like very podcasty YouTube of you. Come on. You just want people to yell at each other.
Just for 10 minutes.
And feel like you won and, you know, go to our corners. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Well, thanks, Robert, for being back on the show. It's been a long time. It's been too long. If I wanted to debate about something that I don't know much about, I'll let you know. I'll reach out.
Absolutely. Hey, that would be great. You want to do one in the future?
I don't know. I believe you tried to reach out to me about, I don't remember. The whole Silverman thing happened, and I was just like, I don't want to debate about this. Something.
I'll get you a flat earther. And then we'll bring you on and let you beat them up. You got to watch it.
The thing is, like, I would probably get run by a flat earther. They'd just crush me somehow.
No, not
with
them.
their flat hands.
Yeah, they're actually stupid. But the ones you got to watch out for are the 9/11 truthers. Is because some of them are really stupid. Because, you know, if you're a flat earther, you're definitely a 9/11 truther. But not all 9/11 truthers are flat earthers. You know, some of them are like kind of, they know their shit, and you'll be like, oh, what? So you're gonna tell me jet fuel can't melt steel beams? And they'll just be like, all this documentation of this guy that you know, actually, I have an engineer with me right now. And the guy was popping, hey, you know, you got to watch out with some of those guys. They know their shit. So,
well, good.
Yeah.
Well, just right to reason, people. You'll get you'll learn things, you'll laugh, you'll cry, and you know,
you'll cry for sure.
You might learn something.
You'll cry for sure.
There you go.
It's always good talking to you, man. I'm glad we've stayed in touch, and we should talk more often.
Sounds good. Thanks for being on.